Okay, I think this is good enough. This is not a video that I was planning on making today, but I've got a repot and potentially rehab that has been staring me in the face for quite a while now, and I've been putting it off. Oh, has my gimbal just died? What's going on here? Okay, we are moving to the tripod because I don't know what is going on with my gimbal. But as you can probably tell, this isn't a kind of thought out, structured, planned video. I just have been looking at this plant for a while and thinking something's going on. And you know, when, I don't know if anyone else does this, sometimes I will look at something and I'm like, oh, is that an issue? Or is that something that might just kind of fix itself? And it's becoming fairly apparent that this isn't going to fix itself. So that is what we're going to be doing today. But first, if you're new here, hi, my name's Claire and this is Yuli. I make videos all about houseplant care, sharing tips and tricks I've learnt over the years to help keep your plants happy and healthy. And yeah, I encourage those of you that have got perhaps a plant or two that you've been looking at similarly to me and putting off doing things too, grab that plant now and we can do it together and tackle the problem head on. But yes, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So the plant in question is my Scindapsus argyraeus, and I do apologise if this is a little bit shaky, but I'm gonna turn you around so that you can see her. As I say, my gimbal has just decided to pack up, so this isn't ideal. But this plant has grown to be so long. Like, as you can see, she is trailing all the way along. And I've just noticed that she's getting very curly very quickly. I'm watering her quite frequently, so I expect she probably is just in general need of a repot. But also there's lots of sections. Oh my goodness, I am balancing on the edge of the sofa. There are so many sections of her that are starting to curl and die back, and this is happening quite frequently. I am losing leaves. So I think I need to get in there and have a proper look at what's going on. It's obviously going to be a little bit difficult to even get this plant down, and it's going to be potentially quite a big job, but I think it needs to happen. So yeah, step one, untangle the plant. Oh my goodness, I can't quite believe how long this plant's got. This must easily be about 2 times the height of me, which is amazing, and she looks very beautiful when I've got her trailing. However, it's gonna mean that if there's anything more sinister going on, like pests or anything like that, she could be a bit of a nightmare to treat. So I do hope that is not the case. I thought I would set up and film down here today because the cupboard of chaos is chaotic as ever, and I don't want everyone to have to see it because I haven't organised it in such a long time. I've been really, really bad. But straight off the bat with this plant, I can feel that its pot is very, very light, and I only watered it a couple of days ago. But like I said, sometimes when a root system is so huge, it can just guzzle the water very quickly. And I actually don't think I've repotted this plant in my whole time of owning it. And I've had it a couple of years now, I think. So it's definitely, I'm sure, due for a pot upgrade. The other thing that I don't have a lot of still is soil. So I think I'm obviously gonna take a look at the roots and see what's going on, but I think I might change this one up into semihydro maybe. I always get a little bit nervous with vining plants touching, like messing with their root systems too much. And in fact, I was chatting to someone on my Patreon about this the other day. Sometimes even with plants like pothos plants that are super, super like hardy and tend not to give you any grief at all, typically they do tend to give you the most trouble when you do repot them, just because, I don't know, they can just be quite dramatic in that sense. Also, I know sometimes I'd say, oh, I can probably take some wet sticks and propagate. With this one, just because there's so much of it, I'm not going to be that precious about that. I've also got several rooted cuttings of this plant just around my flat, and depending on how sparse it looks once I've repotted and kind of taken a proper look at it. I might pot some other sections of it back up and get it looking lovely and full again. Okay, so it's out of its hanger. Oh, everything is so tangled already. But I can see just by looking at the top here why that section that just died off, and I've got another bit there in fact that is about to die off, just because this is the substrate that it's potted in, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I guess it's kind of like a coir, very dense mix, and you do actually see a lot of Scindapsus plants potted in this mix. I don't know why, but as you can see here, as I've watered it over the years that I've had it, the substrate's just pushed down and down and down, and the root system is exposed. So I'm guessing this bit was just kind of pushed out a little bit. So I'm hoping the roots are going to be looking okay. Okay, yeah, as I expected, it's incredibly rooty in here, and I want to be so careful of these roots. Fortunately, because this is a very crumbly substrate, it is just kind of falling away, so I'm just gonna be as gentle as I possibly can. Also, some sections of root that have been exposed are completely dead as well, and those are the things that can lead to rotting. So I'm just going to be very gentle as I try and separate those from the rest. The good thing is though, the roots on the whole do look really full and healthy, which I'm so happy about, because I just had this fear that potentially I was going to get in here and there was going to be root rot or something. To be honest, I should really do this with my other Scindapsus as well, my Scindapsus, why can I never remember the name of it? I can't remember off the top of my head, but the one with the big leaves, I should really do the same for that, because that's in a very similar substrate, and I've been looking at it for a while thinking I should do the same thing. But oh my goodness, that was potentially the easiest plant to get out of soil that I've ever dealt with. That was crazy easy, and it's just lifted away. Look at those roots, aren't they just beautiful? And I brought over a thing of horticultural soap and water, and I was going to just give the plant a wipe down, but I'm thinking if I am going to get this into semihydro, I'd probably like to give the roots a rinse off anyway first. So I'm like, do I get it into the shower? I'm thinking maybe I get it into the shower and just give the foliage a kind of spritz down and the roots at the same time. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I've just been trying to get the leaves to drip dry, just giving it a shake in the bathroom, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So the root system that it's got here is nowhere near as big as I thought it was gonna be. So I actually don't know how much I need to pot size up. I'm actually tempted to just, as I said before, just pot up some other sections with this plant and not pot size up that much. I just had a look in the cupboard of chaos, and I grabbed these, which I think, because obviously I can use that as a reservoir pot, and this is the main semi-hydro pot, and I actually think this is about 14 centimeters, but I think that would probably do this plant for, oh yeah, that's more than enough for quite a while. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go in with for now. But as I say, I have got several other very, very, very rooted sections of this plant. And I think I'm just going to try and fill it out a little bit, because although this plant is incredibly long, there's only like 3 or 4 strands of vine that are very, very long. And I'd love to get it not just growing longer, but also filling out and kind of being a little bit more luscious and not quite so sparse. So yeah, I've also got these sections here, which I started propagating, I think about maybe 8 weeks ago. And I would have thought, yeah, oh my goodness, yeah, already they're nicely rooted. So in order to go into semi-hydro, I'm more than happy with those roots. And I know I still get so many semi-hydro related questions. And as you can probably see, I haven't got all of the soil off from these roots, but I would say probably about 95%. I'm just looking at some of the ends of these roots actually, and they could do with having a little trim back. So I'm just gonna grab some scissors. Yeah, just to be on the safe side. There's just a few tips to these roots that I'm looking at that are a little bit sludgy. Yeah, like if you look at that, you might just think that's soil, but that is actually a dead root that started to rot, and that's what you've got to be really careful of. So I'm going to try and get any bad roots off. Yeah, I don't know why it's taken me such a long time to actually get around to doing anything with this plant, because in fact it lost one lovely long vine just before I filmed my big houseplant tour, which was about, I don't know, getting on for 2 or 3 months ago now. And like I said at the beginning of this video, and I know I shouldn't say this, but you know, sometimes when you just think, oh, maybe it will just kind of sort itself out. I have had that with plants before. Like I've had plants that look not, I don't want to say unwell, but like they'll start doing something a little bit funky, and I'll think to myself, like, do I need to get in there? Do I need to take action and kind of repot or do anything major? And they will just, I don't know, just sort themselves out, and they will just find a way to power through. But Scindapsus is, although it's a fairly hardy genus, it is one that can be known for going downhill pretty quickly. So really, I should have done this sooner. And the nice thing is as well about a plant like this that's drying up so quickly is that by getting it into semi-hydro, it's going to just be so much easier to keep on top of. Like I would just have to fill the reservoir. I won't have to monitor the plant quite as closely as I was before. And I am actually going on holiday soon, so just trying to make everything in my collection a little bit lower maintenance before going away so that I don't have to worry about them is always a good thing. I know I've made specific videos before on like the things that I do to prep my plants before I go away, but getting them into semi-hydro, or getting as many as possible that are high maintenance into semi-hydro, is such a good way of doing things. And doing it with as much time as possible. Like I personally wouldn't do it like the week before you go away, just because there can sometimes be a little bit of an adjustment period. Like there can be some drama. So ideally, if you know you're going away in like a month, for example, I would start thinking at the beginning of the month, or like a month before you go away, about some things that you could be doing, so that then at least if there is anything that needs your attention, it's not happening while you're away and you don't come back to loads of things to deal with. I did do that once actually. I think, it must have been just before lockdown. I repotted a load of plants before, literally I think like the day before I went on holiday, and although most things were savable, I had so much drama when I got back, and I really thought that because I'd done like all of the right things, everything would be fine, and I learned the hard way, unfortunately. So yeah, don't leave things to the last minute. Okay, I am happy with that. As I say, there's still the tiniest bit of soil on there, but I've done my best to get as much off as possible, and the roots all look really good and really healthy. So I'm going to start off by just putting a little bit of semihydro at the bottom of this pot. And ideally, I would like to be using the chunkier mix, but I've only got the fine stuff left. And I may as well make my way through that. I have given it all a rinse out. So I'm just going to gently, in fact, I should really be putting a netting or something on the bottom of the pot, because I know a lot of it's going to fall straight through. But we're just going to go with it. And before, when I took this plant out of soil, as I say, a lot of the sections had started to kind of push out of the top. So I'm just going to pot them a little bit deeper this time, so that all of the aerial roots all the way up to the top are covered in semihydro. I'm also going to slip my new rooted cuttings in there as well. Oh, and I've just realised I didn't add in the cuttings from here, but that's okay. I can either fill the plant out again at a later point, or I can start a brand new plant, which I might do because I love the Scindapsus argyraeus. I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful Scindapsus. But yeah, so that is it repotted. As I say, I've just put it into a fine semihydro mix, and not as much is falling out actually as I thought it would. So I'm just going to put it into its new pot, and then I will aim to keep the reservoir filled to around about there, just there. To be honest, it doesn't have to be exact. So long as you're not massively overfilling it, it should be fine. I'm probably just for the first few weeks going to keep it filled on the lower side. And I often do this for plants that I'm transferring into semihydro, just because sometimes having, like, being in a substrate that is all of a sudden consistently moist can be a little bit much for them. So especially if you're dealing with something like this that's come out of quite dry soil, I would typically keep it a little bit less and then just add a little bit more over time. But yeah, I'm going to top up its reservoir, and then I'm going to try and rehang it and make it look pretty. But of course, before I hang it, I'm going to need to untangle it, which is the bit that I've been kind of dreading, because although it came down quite easily, I've had it in the shower since then and I haven't been keeping these sections very separated, and I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a mission to untangle them. Oh my god, it's like a pair of headphones. I'm like, how did it get this tangled? And I recently got this weird little thing that means I can put my phone on my head and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. And I haven't tried it yet, but while I'm sitting here doing this very tedious task, I thought maybe it was a good opportunity to give it a go. Oh, I should probably press record first. Oh my God, I feel very silly. But let's see if this works. Editing Claire popping in here. Despite sitting untangling this plant half blind in order to try and get this weird GoPro footage thing to work, annoyingly this is the only footage I managed to get. It must have stopped recording, I'm not quite sure what happened. It did, however, leave me with this lovely imprint on my forehead for the rest of the day. Woohoo! Oh my God, I have no patience for stuff like this. I find it so frustrating. I'm literally on the edge of like tearing through them all, and I know that doesn't get me anywhere. That doesn't achieve anything. Oh no, I've just tangled them again. Oh, how have I done this? Okay, I think this is good enough. I think I'm happy with this. I think it's good enough to hang. So let's give it a go. Oh my God, I look like such a loser. I think I've done it. And you know what? You know how sometimes, oh, and it's off my head now. Ow. You know how sometimes just literally, oh my goodness. That wasn't recording. None of that was recording. No, oh my goodness, I just hurt my head for nothing. Okay, we'll have to try that again another day. But what I was gonna say is, you know how sometimes just like potting up a plant or getting it on a moss pole or just doing something really simple can immediately elevate the plant and just make it look so much more gorgeous? I feel like doing that has just made the plant already look much fuller. I'll put some clips in so that you can properly see. But yeah, I feel really good having done that. I know it might just seem like such a small task, but it's something that I've just really been letting get on top of me. So I'm really glad I took half an hour today to just do it. Oh, even I think sometimes, even on the days where if you're finding plant care a bit overwhelming or you've just allowed a load of stuff to build up, literally just tackling one thing, even if it doesn't feel like you've made a dent in the massive pile of things you need to do, the one thing can make so much difference. And although I now have lots of other things to do for the rest of the day and I'm not going to be doing more plant care, I feel like when I come back to my plant care now, I'm just going to be feeling better about things because that's done, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you were doing planty stuff as well, I so hope you managed to get loads of stuff done. I hope this video wasn't too boring. I know it's a bit different to the sort of thing I usually do. It was maybe just kind of more realistic and not as long. But yeah, I really enjoyed making it and I appreciate you being here with me as I tackled the task. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.
Stay sexy, plant lovers.